everyone, welcome back to Take the Snap. I'm JJ, and today I'll be sharing with you my power rankings in my first round mock draft. Let's start with the power rankings. Number 32, Chicago Bears. I put the Bears at 32 because I think Justin Fields is still good, but until the draft, I don't know who they're going to draft, and I don't know if they have enough weapons around Justin Fields to be a good team. Number 31, Cardinals. I put the Cardinals here because even though they got a new coach, Kyler Murray's injured, and I don't think the coaching hire was the best hire. Number 30, Texans. I picked the Texans here because they got a new coach, and I think that it was an okay hire, but I think that the Texans have to get a better quarterback. I think if they could put a little more weapons around them, I think they might actually be competitive. Number 29, Colts. I picked the Indianapolis Colts here because they did a mediocre coaching hire. I think if they go in the draft a quarterback, and get Jonathan Taylor healthy, then I think they'll do good. Number 28, Los Angeles Rams. I put the Rams here because I think even though they're a good team, they have injuries and they still need to be healed. And Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback, but they can't draft anybody else to put around him because they don't have any first-round picks. Number 27, Denver Broncos. I put the Broncos here because they drafted Sean Payton, and that put them higher. If Sean Payton can fix Russell Wilson, then I think that they go into a top 10 team. But if Sean Payton can't fix Russell Wilson, then they will stay in a bottom 10 team. Number 26, Atlanta Falcons. Even though I had the Falcons really low, I think there's still a shot at the division because that's how bad the division is. The Falcons, they have a decent draft place. I think that they can draft maybe even a quarterback or just some more weapons to put around Desmond Ridder. Number 25, New Orleans Saints. I put the Saints here because the past couple years they kind of fell off a cliff. Jameis Winston is not the key to the success. Alvin Kamara is in court, and that might not end good, and Michael Thomas got injured. And all the Saints' injuries, I think, are really hurting them, but I still think that was trying the division, because that's, like I said before, that's how bad the NFC South is. Number 24, Las Vegas Raiders. I put the Raiders here because Derek Carr is released by them. Now, I think this is not a good move because even though they could draft a quarterback, by then it'd probably be like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. Even though they're good quarterbacks, I think that they could do better with Derek Carr, and I think that that was a really bad decision to release Derek Carr because they only have one quarterback under contract. 23, Cleveland Browns. I put the Browns here because they were not very protected last year. Yes, I know Deshaun Watson was out for a lot of games, but still, I don't think that this is the year. I think the Browns might have a chance at maybe a wild card, but I just don't think this is the year. Number 22, Carolina Panthers. Now, Panthers are here because even though they're still a shot at the division, they're not very good. They have not a quarterback, which I think they could, like the Falcons, go and draft one. But still, even if they draft one, they don't have that many weapons. And DJ Moore, I guess, is considered a weapon. He's a good wide receiver, but I don't think they have enough weapons to make a deep run in the playoffs, even if they did make the playoffs. Number 21, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know they made the playoffs last year, but Tom Brady retired. They don't have a quarterback. They have a late draft pick, so it's going to be hard for them to get a quarterback. They don't want to trade for a quarterback, and without a quarterback in this league, it's hard to win. So I think that the Buccaneers will not win the division. I think they might have a chance because of how bad their division is, but I think they'll win the division. I don't think they'll be a very good team without a quarterback. Number 20, Washington Commanders. Now, some might argue that the Commanders are better than this. I don't think they are. Earlier in the season, they were doing really good, but then later in the season, they kind of fell off the cliff. Now, I don't think Carson Wentz is it. I just don't think so. He hasn't been really good, and Taylor Heineke, he's a good backup, but he's a backup, and I don't want a backup quarterback as my number one quarterback and expect to go into the playoffs. Number 19, Tennessee Titans. Now, some might think that the Titans will be lower than this, but I don't think they are. I think that they're still good. I think Ryan Tannehill, it's time for him to go soon, but not right this season. And I think that with Derrick Henry, they still are going to be a competitive team. Number 18, New York Jets. The Jets were good early in the season, kind of like the Commanders, but then in the later kind of fell off the cliff like the Commanders. Now, I think the Jets will be good when the rookies get a little more experience, because they have a lot of good rookies, including the defensive and offensive rookies of the year, Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. But still, even with those, they don't have a quarterback. Like I said earlier, it's hard to win in this league without a quarterback. And I think that the Jets will have the same problem as the Buccaneers and a lot of other teams. No quarterback. Number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now the Steelers, I think that I could have rated them higher, but I don't think they're a top half team. They did good this season, yes, and I think that if we get in a couple years, Kenny Pickett will get better. George Pickens can improve, and I think then they can make a deep run in the playoffs. Number 16, Green Bay Packers. Now this is interesting. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, then they will drop a lot on this list. But if he does come back, well, they might even go higher on this list because the Green Bay Packers are not good without Aaron Rodgers. I think that they have a chance of making the playoffs if Aaron Rodgers comes back. But I still don't think that will be the greatest chance. Number 15, Detroit Lions. The Lions were so close this year, so close to making the playoffs. But they didn't, and that's why I'm putting them lower than most of the playoff teams. I think that the Lions will give the rookies a couple years, and then they'll do really good in the playoffs, like most of the other teams. Number 14, New England Patriots. Like the Lions, they were really close to making the playoffs. The Patriots are a good team. If they can get more weapons on Mac Jones, and Mac Jones can improve, then I think we can start talking about playoffs and even Super Bowl. Number 13, Miami Dolphins. I put the Dolphins here because I could have put them higher if Tua Tagovailoa is healthy. If he's not healthy, then the Dolphins are not a very good team. But if he was healthy and they had all these concussions, I think that they are a Super Bowl contender. Number 12, Seattle Seahawks. I put the Seahawks here because if Geno Smith comes back, then the Seahawks have a good chance. They have a high draft pick. They can draft a good defensive player. And this was shocking this season. They were supposed to be rebuilding mode and have Geno Smith. That was a joke. But they made it. They made it to the playoffs. And that's shocking for a rebuilding team. Number 11, Minnesota Vikings. This will shock a lot of people. Put the Vikings low on this list because I can't trust them in most games. I know they won most of the games, but they're one-possession games. And I don't think that can do next season. I don't think that they can win all the games by one possession, or at least most of the games, because the new teams will find ways to beat them. Number 10, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars shocked me this year. They were supposed to be a rebuilding team really bad, and they made the playoffs. They made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. I think that Trevor Lawrence has a future, and I think that he will succeed. I think that if I can do the same thing that they did in free agency this season as they did last season, then I think that they have a good chance at making the playoffs again. Number 9, New York Giants. The Giants were shocking, just like the Jaguars and the Seahawks this year. The Giants, like those both teams, they're supposed to be in rebuilding mode. But with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll coming as first-year coach, they made the playoffs. And the divisional round of the playoffs, shocking the Vikings. And that's why I have them at number 9, because they have a quality team. If Saquon stays, then they have another run. I think they can make another run at the playoffs. Number 8, Los Angeles Chargers. I put the Chargers here because I think that they're a good team. I think that Justin Herbert has a great arm, and I think that if they can improve their defense and their weapons around him and stop choking games, then they will be a good team, and I think that they will have a Super Bowl contender. Number 7, Dallas Cowboys. I put the Cowboys here because I think that Dak Prescott can improve. I think they can get more weapons than CeeDee Lamb. I think that Ezekiel Elliott could be a little better. But also, the Cowboys made it to the playoffs, made it to the second round, and I think that that's good enough to put them in the top 10. They are a good team, just have room for improvement. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. This will shock a lot of people. I think that the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender every year. If Lamar Jackson comes back, then they're a Super Bowl contender. And Lamar Jackson is like a top 5 quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. He's amazing. Number 5, Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills had a sad finish to the Bengals 27-10, I know. But I think the Bills every year will be Super Bowl bust until they do win the Super Bowl. And I think that if they can add more weapons besides what they have already, then they will be really good. And I think that they will even have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl. Number 4, Cincinnati Bengals. Now this will make Bengals fans mad. put them at number 4, below the 49ers, because I think it will be hard to pay Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Hayden Hurst. And their defensive players also. They'll be hard to pay all of them. So I think that they might get a little worse next year, but they'll still be a Super Bowl contender. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. Now, we're in the top 3. I put the 49ers over the Bengals because even though it might still be hard to pay all of them, I think they'll start Brock Purdy next year, and he will still be on his rookie contract, therefore making it easier to pay everyone. I think they had a great defense. The only reason they lost the conference championship game against the Eagles is because they didn't have a quarterback, and when you don't have a quarterback, it's hard to win games. Number 2, Philadelphia Eagles. What a season for the Eagles, making the Super Bowl. I know they lost it, but they made it. And Jalen Hurts having his running ability used a lot and improving greatly. I think that in the draft, they have the number 10 pick. They'll go get another good player to put around Jalen Hurts. Then, just like that, the Super Bowl contender. And even better chances of winning the Super Bowl. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this was the easy choice. Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and it was a good game. I know that they won it. I know the call late was controversial, the holding one, but still, the Chiefs won the game, and they shocked everyone with Tyreek Hill left, and then everyone was like, no, they can't win the Super Bowl, and here they are, won the Super Bowl. That's all for power rankings. Now, on to the first round mock draft. A couple things to add before we start. There will be no mock trades in this mock draft, so it doesn't get too complicated. Second, the Dolphins had to give up the first round pick because they violated with the NFL. They violated one of the NFL's rules. Now, let's get into it. Bears have the number 1 overall pick. I have them selecting Will Anderson Jr., an edge rusher out of Alabama. I think this will be a good pick because they need to improve their defensive line, and I think that if they do this, well, then they can improve it, and the Bears could actually have some competitiveness on the defensive line. With the number 2 overall pick, I have the Texans selecting Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. This decision is pretty easy for me. The Texans need a quarterback. Bryce Young is the best quarterback available, and I think that he will be a good quarterback to go into the Texans system. Number 3, Arizona Cardinals. I have them selecting Tyree Wilson, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Now, this might be controversial, but I have them selecting Tyree Wilson because I think that they can improve their defense. And with the defensive coordinator as a coach coming in, then I think that he will want to draft a defensive player. Number 4, the Colts. I have the Colts picking C.J. Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. I have them picking C.J. Stroud because they need a quarterback, like the Texans, and C.J. Stroud will fit really good in the system, and I think that he's the best quarterback still left after Bryce Young. Number 5, Seahawks. I am selecting Jalen Carter, defensive interior out of Georgia. Some might argue that Jalen Carter could have gone higher, but I put him lower at number 5 because I don't think any of the other teams need him for the position, but Seattle could really use him. So I have them selecting Jalen Carter. Number 6 pick goes to the Lions. I have them selecting Devin Witherspoon, quarterback out of Illinois. Now, some people might think that this is a bad pick, but I don't. I think that they need a quarterback and improve the defensive secondary, and this is the best available defensive secondary player. Number 7, Raiders. I have them picking Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Now, some people might think that they might get C.J. Stroud and that the Colts will get Will Levis, but I don't. I think that Will Levis or Anthony Richardson will go to the Raiders. I think Will Levis will fit better in the system, so I have the Raiders drafting Will Levis. Number 8, Falcons. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver at TCU. I think that Quentin Johnson is the best wide receiver in that draft class. I think they'll stick with Desmond Ridder and draft a weapon with him and Quentin Johnson. Number 9, Panthers. Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida. Now, people might think that this is a bad pick because the Panthers don't need a quarterback. They might go out and get one in free agency. But I think they do. I think that Anthony Richardson is the best available quarterback in this draft class, and I think that he'll fit good in the system. Number 10, Eagles. Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. The Eagles Not like they need really any positional upgrades, but wide receiver would be good just to help Jalen Hurts. And I think that Jordan Addison was the best wide receiver still on the board. With the number 11 pick, I have the Titans selecting Lucas Van Ness, edge rusher out of Iowa. I have them taking Lucas Van Ness because I think that the Titans could use a better defense. I think that Lucas Van Ness would be a great addition. Number 12, Texans. I have the Texans selecting Kalijah Kancey, defensive interior out of Pittsburgh. I think that the Texans can improve on a lot of things. Even though their defense is pretty competitive, like I said, they can always improve, and their defense could use another defensive line win. Then I think this would be the best choice. Number 13, Jets. Paris Johnson Jr., Ohio State, tackle. I have them selecting this tackle out of Ohio State because I think that their offensive line could improve, and that whoever they have in a quarterback next season, that he would probably like if he had a good offensive line, especially if it's Zach Wilson. Number 14, Patriots. Peter Skoronski, tackle out of Northwestern. I have another tackle going because tackles are always important for the offensive line. Now, I think that Mac Jones could use another tackle or just another offensive lineman so that he doesn't feel pressure all the time and doesn't need to feel like he needs to force the ball downfield. Number 15, Packers. Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State. I am selecting Jackson Smith-Njigba because I think that he is the best wide receiver available for this class that's left, and I think that this would be a great addition, and I think that the Packers definitely need a wide receiver. Number 16, Commanders. Tanner McKee, quarterback, Stanford. This will be very controversial for a lot of people. They think that only 4 quarterbacks will go in the first round, but I think Tanner McKee would be a great choice. Commanders, they need a quarterback, and I think this would be the best positional upgrade that you could get. Number 17, Steelers. Christian Gonzalez, quarterback, Oregon. Now, I think the Steelers were pretty good offensively, but their defense could improve, especially the secondary, and that's why I'm having to select Christian Gonzalez. Number 18, Lions. Brian Bresee, defensive interior, Clemson. I think the Lions' defensive interior, I don't think they need one that much, but I think that another addition with Aiden Hutchinson would be great. Number 19, Buccaneers. Michael Mayer, tackle, Notre Dame. I think that this is a good choice because the Buccaneers need to improve on the offensive line because Tom Brady was getting sacked like crazy and Tom Brady's retired. And I think whoever they have under next season will definitely not want to feel pressured and will need another different offensive tackle. Number 20, Seahawks. Myles Murphy, edge rusher, Clemson. Yes, I know this is really late for Myles Murphy, but I think that the Seahawks could still use him. I think that this would be a hopeful addition to the defensive line. Number 21, Chargers. Broderick Johnson, tackle, Georgia. I think that the Chargers had a good offense, but I think that the defense and the offensive line could improve. So I picked an offensive line tackle out of Georgia, so I think that could help them. Number 22, Ravens. Joey Porter Jr., cornerback out of Penn State. I think that the Ravens are a really good team, but the cornerback could help them in the defensive secondary. I think that they've let go a lot of big passes this season. I think that next season they can improve on that with Joey Porter Jr. Number 23, Ravens. Devontae Banks, quarterback, Maryland. A lot like the Ravens, I think they can improve in their defensive secondary and let a lot of big passes get through them. So I think that Devontae Banks would be a good addition. Number 24, Jaguars. Brian Branch, safety, Alabama. The Jaguars are really good this year, but I think that if they could protect the coverage deep, then they could get even better. That's why Brian Branch would help them. 25, Giants. Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. This, I feel like, is a really good pick. The Giants, they need more weapons for Daniel Jones besides Saquon Barkley, and a wide receiver and Zay Flowers would do them really good, because if they have another weapon, then they could even be more dynamic with Daniel Jones. Number 26, Cowboys. Mazi Smith, defensive tackle, Michigan. Now, I think this is a good pick because Mazi Smith is a good player, and I think that if they can improve on the defensive line, then that'd be really good. Number 27, Bills, Antonio Johnson, Texas safety, Texas A&M. Now, I think that the Bills, the only thing they can really improve on is the defensive secondary. So I think Antonio Johnson would be a good pick. Number 28, Bengals, Anton Harris, tackle, Oklahoma. Now, the Bengals' offensive line definitely needs help. So if I could get the offensive lineman and Anton Harris, then I think that would be so helpful for the offensive line. Number 29, Saints, Garrett Williams, cornerback, Syracuse. Now, the Saints can improve on a lot of things, but like a lot of other teams, the defensive secondary needs help, and that's why I think a cornerback would be helpful here. Number 30, Eagles, Osiris Torrance, guard, Florida. Now, I think that the Eagles are really good in a lot of positions, and the O-line is really good. I think a guard would be helpful for the future. Number 31, Chiefs, and Andrew Carter II, edge rusher, Army. Now, I think the Chiefs' defensive line could get better because they have Chris Jones, and if they added and Andre Carter II, then I think that it could even improve better, and that they could get much better in the defensive line. That's all for the mock draft. Before the episode ends, I want to tell you something. If you ever want to tell me something, or if you ever want to ask me to talk about something, then I'd review about it, and I will read the review, and I will consider talking about it, whatever you want me to talk about. That's all for today. Thanks for listening to Take Snap.